Hello and welcome to Magnetic Rise. I am your host, Cikizwa Vilakazi, and this is the podcast where we uncover the stories, the strategies, and the lessons behind the rise of remarkable businesses. Today, I am very thrilled to be joined by Sandra Kokotovic, an inspiring entrepreneur, digital marketer, and an e-commerce expert who has built not just one, but several seven-figure ventures. So I'm very excited to learn from what she has to share today. Sandra, welcome to Magnetic Rise. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to dive into this conversation.
Yeah, and on that note, let's dive right in. So I mentioned a little bit about what you do, but can you take us to the beginning? So who is Sandra and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a digital marketer. I spend most of my time and most of my days with my marketing agency called Snap Advantage, and I work as a creative director. In more simple terms, I lead a team of digital marketers, and I serve as a fractional CMO for multiple companies. And I deliver marketing services like email marketing, social media marketing, text, influencer content creators, and basically the whole ecosystem. So businesses can scale to multiple seven figures and eight figures. I mostly work with biohacking and health wellness companies, but I also have some other niches that I'm having fun working with.
Okay, that's interesting. Was there a specific moment or challenge that sparked your decision to build your own business?
Yeah, so it was actually very self-serving. It was never it was never like oh, I need to change the world, or not that I don't like what I'm doing right now, and I'm so grateful for the opportunities that I have every day. But if I can say what sparked the decision to start my own business was back in 2016. My now husband, who has been a marketer for um, a while before I became one, he took me on a mastermind to Bali, where I met a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners who are working online. And this was 2016. It wasn't like remote work and VAs and contractors back then. And I met all of these people who had no background in marketing, who became business owners, marketers, e-com marketers. And I remember on our last day in Bali, we're at a beach club, and my Serge, my husband, had started a store, and I was seeing the Shopify orders come in constantly, and we're making more money than we were spending at this beach bar. And I told him, I'm doing this. I said, I'm doing whatever you want me to do in your business with you. But when we land back in Canada, I'm quitting my job and I'm working with you. It's like, okay. And yeah, that was basically it. So his company was a startup back then, but so it was a meditation jewelry e-commerce website and store. And because I came from a sales background, he came from a marketing background. He said, why not start a marketing agency where we can help other brands do what I'm doing with my brand? You can do the sales, you can have a team. And yeah, that was almost 9 years ago, 8.5 years ago. And here we are today. So that was a spark. It was, like I said, self serving. I just wanted more freedom. I wanted to work from Bali. I wanted to work from other places in the world and help business owners while I'm at it. So I'm still doing that.
I think you're living everyone's dream.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, yes. I'm pretty much living my dream. So
And with living your dream, what have been some of the biggest rewards or challenges of scaling a business whilst on the move?
lots of rewards of being on the move. Some rewards of scaling a business, being on the move. The biggest one I can think about would be constantly being inspired and challenged. So we, in the last 3 years, have stayed in probably over 50 Airbnbs and VRBOs and hotels. So we were always on the move in the sense that packing and packing was part of our part of our lives. And what I found when I went to new places and I experienced different surroundings like cuisines and music and people, I was able to constantly stay inspired to learn something new every day, come back to my computer, come back to my notepad and write ideas down and then just continue creating. So I would say that's probably one of the biggest rewards. The other rewards would be being challenged. So going to new countries, going to new cities, going to places where you don't speak the language, where you don't know your way around, it keeps you on your tippy toes. You have to constantly do research, figure yourself out, around town, figure out what you need to do. And I found that I can take those skills and transfer them into my business where, again, being an agency owner, being an ecom owner, things don't go according to plan always. So, having those skills, learning those skills of um, being put in a new environment and figuring it out, I was able to bring into the business. Lots and
Okay.
lots of reward, lots of benefits of
I can
traveling.
imagine. I can imagine. And I would think that mindset plays a huge role in the success of being what many would call a digital nomad. What have been maybe some of the shifts that you had to then allow yourself to go through that have been most impactful for you whilst building and scaling, especially when you're transforming from the 9 to 5, the traditional 9 to 5, to now being a digital entrepreneur on the go?
It was tough. So the mindset change, I would say the one that had the biggest impact for me was stop being a victim and understanding that nobody owes me anything as a business owner. I see this quite a lot, especially new entrepreneurs, new business owners. And I'm saying this with love. I'm not saying it with criticism, but it is a trait that we tend to have when we're at the beginning of our journey. We think that just because our service or our product is great, the world needs to know that it's great. I've heard why don't people want to buy from me? No, my product is so good. I don't need ads. I don't need to spend money. I don't need a team. People are just going to buy from me. And I feel like we have a little bit of an entitlement jumping into an entrepreneur. And we love the title entrepreneur, girl boss, boss bee, whatever it is. But what really humbled me was realizing that I'm not worth $1 million unless I solve $1 million problem. The world doesn't owe me anything. I can be good at what I do. I can have a great product, a great service, but that doesn't mean the world owes me to buy from me and to give me money. So, taking the step to actually go after opportunities myself was what helped me get out of that kind of like, I'll call it victim mindset, in the sense of like, why is this happening to me? Why am I not getting sales? People should be buying from me. And I flipped it and realized that I have to go get my own opportunities. I'm on my own. Nobody owes me anything. I can't explain that, enough times. I had to figure out a way to show my worth and also prove my worth. And only after I started solving problems is when I could say, that's what I'm worth. Again, we think we're worth a lot, and maybe internally we know we can be worth a lot, but you are worth what people are willing to pay for you, right? You are worth what problems you're willing to solve. And unless and until you solve those problems, nobody owes you anything. So that I would say that's the biggest mindset change that I had.
Yeah, okay. And it sounds like it would be pretty stressful or going through some uncertainty, especially when you have to rely on yourself, like you've said, to sort of determine your own self-worth. What strategies did you have that helped you maintain, like manage stress and uncertainty in business during those stages?
I used to be a very stressed person for years and years. I used to go to bed at night thinking about work constantly. I didn't do this, I didn't do that. My clients going to email me. There's no shortage of problems that arise in business. Um, Managing stress, first of all, the biggest step I took was realizing that I need to manage stress, and living through stress is not okay. A little level of stress is going to be necessary and inevitable from time to time. But managing stress and really actively taking a step um, to keep it, at bay, was the first step. As for strategies, what worked for me, the sleeping routine. I really think that sleeping is one of the best things that you can do for yourself. Um, Relaxing in the sense of, like walking, taking long baths, like you name it, yoga. I have a Bali room downstairs. I have a room where I meditate, and I have my Buddhas and easy room. I meditate. So all the things I can kind of like Google and research about in terms of mitigating stress, I do them. Um, But then I looked into what caused me stress, and I try to get to the root cause and control the actions that I can take that will, you know, not take me to a stressful state anymore. So for me, for the longest time, stress came from not having money. Honestly, as a self-employed person, you don't get a paycheck regularly like an employed person, and that is a huge stress. I'm responsible to pay the bills. I'm responsible to pay for food, to pay for my lifestyle, and not having money or not knowing that money's coming in is one of my biggest sources of stress. I do not want to be broke. So what I realized I had to do is just make more money. How do I make more money? Well, I can prospect more, find more brands to work with. I can, increase my ad spend for my e-com store and other strategies. Keep a full pipeline so we have clients coming in, keep my clients happy, and of course continue to get better at what I do so that I can charge the money I want to charge, so I don't go into a situation where I am broke. And once I started doing that, my stress started to go away a little bit. There's different kinds of stress, but my big stress, like I said, was coming from not making money as a self-employed person. So I had to figure out what my best bet to make money is.
Hmm. Is there anything you would have done differently from the time when you chose to make the shift? So looking back now.
Like earlier in my business, you mean earlier when I started
Yeah.
my brand?
So
Uh,
when you took the decision.
yeah. I think that um, the journey that we all have is a journey that like I can't change it. So I can't say that I wish I had done things too differently because I needed the growth in order to be where I am. But if I could have done something a little bit more different, I would have I would have pressed the gas a little bit harder at the beginning. So back when I started my agency in 2016, prospecting was so easy. Like just sending LinkedIn messages, cold calling, sending video prospecting, email prospecting was so easy. Like I got multiple meetings a day. And I when I got to where I wanted financially, I kind of like took the foot off the pedal a little bit, and it was always a dance. Like I'm getting clients and then clients are leaving me, and then I'm getting clients and then clients are leaving me. What I would have done differently, maybe, is continue getting more clients, expanding my agency faster, quicker, not get tangled up in the little details. I stole the phrase from Serge, my husband, not trip over dollars to pick up pennies. So uh, like my social posts are not perfect. Oh, I gotta post every day, or being obsessed with my website, or I'm not ready to prospect because I don't have a website. So things that really don't move the needle, things that don't really matter. Just really figure out what brings us success as a company, and then dial in, and then hire people, expand my team to do everything else. I would have done that a lot quicker. Versus I hold on to me delivering the work, me as Serge delivering the work. Um, I was stretching myself quite a lot to deliver, and it took me a while to realize that I need help. So that would have sped things up a little bit. Do I regret not doing it? No. Could I, could I use this as a piece of advice for someone in my shoes? Yes.
Definitely. And that's the whole purpose of this conversation that we're having. Hmm.
Mhm.
And speaking about having had to then hire people as the business was growing, how did you keep your team aligned and productive whilst working remotely?
To be honest, I don't know what a local team looks like. I have never had a local team. My entire team was remote. My first hire ever back in 2017, she was from the Philippines. I've never met her in person. Now I've met some of the people I work with in person, but I have people that I've worked with for 5 years now, almost 6 years, that I've never met. And I trust them with my credit cards. I trust them with a lot of sensitive information because they are trustworthy and professionals. So I don't know what a local team looks like for me as a business owner. Um, Hire good people, hire people that are on the same mission as you. They're not children. Empower them to make their own decisions, train them, treat them with professionalism, and have the rules set in place for a healthy workplace. So when we're working online, we're not playing. It's a business. We are a corporation. A lot of businesses that are working online, they um, they are businesses, right? So it's not like I said, it's not a playground. So when you hire someone remotely, they need to understand the terms and conditions of the employment. So if it's a full-time employment, that has to be discussed at the beginning. So my expectation is that you are working here 8 hours a day. These are the hours that we expect you to be online and to be available for meetings and for collaboration. This is your compensation. These are the terms. So having agreements in place, having terms in place, not expectations, but agreements, because expectations lead to disappointments. And treat your business like your business. Again, it's a business. So the fact that we are remote doesn't change anything other than, we have more freedom. We can work from our track pants, although I've done that in person too. And we have different hours, but it's still a business. So we're operating as a business.
Yeah. Something I find very interesting in the conversations in the business world lately is leaders trying to get comfortable with the idea of their staff working remotely, especially if they had initially started working in office. And obviously, since COVID, they were remote, and then they're sort of trying to decide whether to go back or not. What advice would you give for that leader in terms of reassuring them, or how to make sure that their teams are productive without them having to be there in person to sort of micromanage them?
If your team is not productive unless you're there, then it's not the right team. If you don't trust your team to perform the work, then you hire the wrong person. Your team will either help you build or will drag you down, and that's going to happen in person. That's going to happen remotely. You think that you have control when it's in person just because you see that person at their computer, but you still don't see the messages they send to each other. You still don't see the conversations they have with their spouse at home. You still don't see the thoughts that they have about you. So if your team only performs if you are there physically, you've hired the wrong person. 100% you've hired the wrong person. Someone who is there to work and help you build and help you grow will do it remotely. We'll do it from Canada. We'll do it from South Africa. We'll do it from Serbia. We'll do it from anywhere in the world. They will show up. They will be serious and they'll be professional. There's no reason for people to be in person if they can be remote. Of course, there's jobs that you need in person.
Yeah.
But if the job can be done from a computer, and I mean, I had the same arguments with clients. When I started my agency, I definitely received a lot of resistance on, well, what do you mean you're not local? Well, if you're not local, you can't work with my business. Uh, I've worked with businesses for years and years. Same business I have not met probably 90% of the people that employ me as an agency that send me money every single month. I have not met them. And I've worked with businesses that were at, $50 million when I started working with them. They're at $21 million a year when I stopped working with them. I work with businesses currently that are pulling in 500,000 plus a month. We are in their systems. We're in their Shopify. Um, I take control of email lists that are 100 to 100,000 subscribers, which is a huge asset. And it took a while to build up trust. Don't get me wrong, but there's nothing different that I could have done in person. So I had the same argument back in the day when I started working with brands online. I don't have the resistance anymore. I do understand why companies have the resistance because we're used to it. I need to see that person. I need to talk to them. But those are excuses, though. To be honest, I have clients that randomly call me and they're like, "Hey, I just need like a quick 2 minutes." Well, you can do that by opening the office door. You can do that by picking up the phone. No
That's
difference.
true.
No different results.
That's very true. So it all just boils down to trust and hiring the right person.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Sandra, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your incredible journey. I wish I could be you. It's definitely something I'm going to work towards in the near future.
Oh, you. I don't have words for that, but thank you.
Um,
Pleasure to be
Thank you. For our listeners who wish to connect with you, maybe acquire your services and marketing, etc., where can they reach you?
Yeah, I'm always on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I'm there all day. So you can look up Sandra Kokotovic. That's my name and my LinkedIn handle. Same with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and all of the other platforms. If you want to check out our website, it is snapadvantage.com.
Perfect. And that is a wrap for this episode of Magnetic Rise. Sandra's story reminds us that with the right mindset, determination, and strategy, we can create businesses and lives that rise above the ordinary. Until next time, keep rising and designing a life and business that you love.